Welcome to West USA Weekly, the podcast, your go-to source for everything real estate in Phoenix, Arizona. We're breaking down market trends, local insights, and the moves that matter most to Valley agents. Interviews, tips, and the latest from one of Arizona's top brokerages, all in one place. Let's dive in.
Good morning, West USA. Welcome to another edition of our Monday morning podcast. We appreciate everybody waking up with us. Pardon me?
I said definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate everybody joining.
All right, I'm just lucky to be up. It was rough this morning. Yeah. But anyways, appreciate everybody joining us today. A little sneak peek of what we got coming up today. Of course, we got Todd Menard here to give us a look at the numbers. Matt Baker with the Bookspan Baker team is here to give us our mortgage minute. And then I'm going to share 3 tips to finding deals on the MLS. Ooh. And then our managing broker, Claudia, is stopping by for conversations with Claudia. I have no idea what we're talking about today, so it should be interesting.
Definitely.
As always, if you got any comments or questions, you can reach out to us at podcast@westusa.com. All right, let's jump into the announcements this morning. Nick and I are going to stick around till about 10:30 when we start our new agent orientation, which we do every single month. All of our events, including this one, can be found on the West USA calendar. All you have to... What are you doing?
I was going to try to hit the bell.
Are you trying to ring my bell?
You just weren't paying attention this morning, so I was going to try to get it.
Saw the little T-Rex arms.
This is the reason why watching us on Facebook matters.
All right, Mike's awake, everybody, FYI.
I'm moving the bell over here. All right, as always, all of our events can be found on the West USA calendar. Just go to your dashboard. And so we do this every single month, so if you have not attended, it is still not too late to sign up for it. Todd's got a free virtual CE class coming up this Wednesday, 3 hours of requirements for licensees. What does that mean?
Well, it used to be called Commissioner's Rules, but I guess they tried to make things less complicated. Now it's called Requirements for Licensees. Great.
Okay, that seems very complicated.
No, much more.
All right, so that is going on a Wednesday from 9 to 12. All right, we got 2 fingerprinting events. First one is going on today from 11:30 to 2:30 here at the North Phoenix office. The second one is happening tomorrow from 10 to 12 o'clock at the Mesa office. So if you're not sure what you need to do as far as getting your fingerprints done and what requirements you have, I would encourage you to reach out to your office manager, and they will let you know all about it.
Yep.
We are also starting React. This is our week-long technology training buffet. It's like a buffet.
Nice.
So we cover everything from listing and buyer presentations to digital marketing and understanding your iFound agent websites and so forth. So here's a list of different things that we're going to be covering all week long. Again, it can be found on the calendar on your dashboard, so get signed up for those as well. So we got coming up today, Nick, at 1 o'clock, a monthly Zillow Showcase agent training. If you are like, what is Zillow Showcase? Well, then this event is for you. Mm-hmm. So it's actually not today. It's the first Wednesday of the month. So this coming up.
Yeah,
okay, close. Yeah. I see
this
the M
week.
and the O, and that's all because we got the camera there.
Yeah,
I do the best I can.
You're good.
Yeah. All right. So we were talking about this morning, Nick, this FinCEN thing. And this is... you definitely need to reach out to your title company about this, or if you are investing in real estate and you are using cash or you are using some sort of hard money, if you have any investors using cash or hard money, this is something that they are going to have to do.
Yeah. And so Claudia's going to go through this a little bit more. We just wanted to just high level. Actually, this slide was supposed to be when Claudia was talking, not during announcements, but that's okay. Reach out to your title rep. All title companies should be very much involved in this. They are the authoritative party when it comes to reporting this information. And so they're working on their procedures and policies. Now, it did go into effect yesterday, so get on it. Yeah. If you don't know anything what we're talking about, as soon as we're done with the call today, reach out to your title rep. If you don't have a title rep that you trust and have a good relationship with, American Title is fantastic, and they are very much involved in what's going on.
Great cliffhanger for Claudia's section right
now. Yeah, it's too bad she's not going to have the slide. So take a snapshot real quick of the slide.
I can go back and forth. I'm good like that.
Nick can handle it.
All righty. We are knee deep in our annual West USA survey. This is whether you love what we're doing or there's things that you would like to see. And we welcome all constructive criticism. And so when you do get this link and you fill it out, make sure you put your name in if you want to be eligible for either a $300 gas card, $150 gas card, or a $50 gas card. If you haven't seen it in your inbox, check your spam folder or check your trash folder, because maybe you're just automatically deleting everything that we're sending you. But it is there. We have sent it to you. I keep getting it, and so I know that the system's working.
You keep getting it because you haven't taken it yet. It went out again at 9 o'clock this morning to remind everybody who has not yet had an opportunity to go through and take it. It takes about 5 minutes to go through. We do appreciate everyone taking the time.
You know, Nick, maybe it's just real quick, just talk about also the fact that this is a pin that the company uses in all of the things that we do moving forward throughout the year, because this has always been an agent-based company. So we always listen to you, but this particular survey has always been the tool that's been used to identify those things. There may be some additional calls and some communication with you, which is why we want you to put your information in there. Don't do them blind. That doesn't really help us. But again, if you're interested in really causing change and making West USA the best brokerage out there, this is your opportunity to share.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. So with that, Todd, take it away. What's going on with the numbers?
You know, this is a great market. It really is right here in the Greater Phoenix metropolitan area. We're going to have our month-end slides probably midweek, worst case, the end of the week. And it's real important because we're going to go into, 2026. We're already into the end of the first quarter, but what is really happening and what are the things that are misunderstood about what's happening? That's my favorite point of everything. You can take the same set of numbers and come at it from multiple angles, but what's really happening, and it's not being said. So take a look and be on the lookout for the month-end stats. So 81 days on market this past week, a 4.44 months supply, 22.51 absorption rate. The average list price this past week at $791,717. Average sale price this past week, $659,403. And our list price to sale price retention this past week at 97.44. Active inventory dropped. There's your first sign, 25,962 units. Pending is sitting at 4,711, and closed units for the month of February. We still have today and possibly tomorrow to include in those month-end numbers. That's what escrow's trying to obviously get done today and tomorrow. So that will be included in February's numbers. So again, we always wait to wash the numbers, which is why we're not fast to give you the numbers and then have them end up being incorrect. Looking at new listings, 2,285 new listings taken this past week. Our days on market for active has dropped to 92. It says there's an increase, but it's at 92, and it's a drop overall. And for closed at 81. Looking at the lower left-hand side, where we're looking at our price ranges, again, active inventory shows you each of the different segments, price ranges, the number of units in each price range, days on market for that price range, and way over on the right, the changes. So obviously, the under $600,000 market got the largest hit this past week. So total inventory that comprises the MLS, 66.3% is under 600,000. 18.86% is between 601 million and 14.84% over $1 million. So the price, our spreadsheet is always what gives us the ability to have a conversation with your consumer about these numbers. This is done this way specifically so you can see week over week conversations with your clients, month over month conversations with your clients, and even annually in the perspective of how are we doing compared to last year and the previous year. So as we can see just within the red box across the top, new listings taken, as we said. Way over on the left is the rules of thumb. We'd like to see 2,400. We do see 2,400 during our peak times. But again, we want to stay as close to that as possible. 2,285 is where we were this past week, 2,209 the week before. We were at 2,500 last year. So, the month of January, it was really a pretty good month. The month of February is starting off that way. There's a lot of buyers in the marketplace, but we'll get down to that in just a second. Active inventories at 25,962 dropped just a little bit. We were at 24,688. That was only so over the last couple of years, you've seen this go from 33% more inventory, 42% more inventory than the year before. Well, now we're in the new year, which means last year's the newer comparison year, and it was only a 5% difference. So what is this saying? This is now talking about stability of your listings in the industry. So you're going to see these, and as long as these numbers are better, then there's more inventory. And of course, if they're not as good, then there's less. But we're looking for consistent numbers right now. This is not going to be a boom year. This is going to be basically, it's not even going to be a recovery year. It's going to be a reset year. It's just going to be one of those years that allows everybody to dust the cobwebs off and learn how to get back into the game. 25,962 is the active, 677 of those in the coming soon category, 19,182 single-family non-distressed, 2,986 new home construction that are in the MLS, 25,496 non-distressed properties, still representing 98.2% of the entire MLS inventory, which then again means that's a 1.8% of the properties that are out there are in distress. Looking at pending, we're at 4711. We were at 4716 last week. That's why it's yellow. It's kind of still there. 4211 last year. What are we seeing? 500 more buyers in the marketplace right now in the month of you'll see January's to the right. But there's more buyers in the month of February right now in the marketplace, about 500 more than there was in February last year. People are starting to engage. There's a lot of reasons why they're doing that. Taking a look at closed inventory again for the month of February, uncleaned, unwashed. These are just what was just straight out of the MLS before month end has actually occurred. You're sitting at 5844 in comparison to 5891 last year. Again, 1% variance on those numbers. Again, stability. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for stability. We're going to get to affordability, but we need to get to stability first. Taking a look at month supply, we're at a 4.44. That's dropped. We were at 5.17, as high as 5.5, 5.6 in the month of January. So what this means is, well, your sign is inventory is starting to decline. We'll see what happens. If this slides lower than 4, it's going to be a different game. Right now, it is a buyer's market, and it'll probably be that way, we're anticipating, throughout at least the first half of 2026. But again, inventory is really going to be the key. And then it's going to be price. There's not going to be any more price pressures on properties as far as economically. What will happen is going to be your supply and demand pricing is going to happen. So in order to make your home sell versus your neighbor's house sell, you're probably going to have to, be willing to be competitive, a little more competitive than might normally be in the typical marketplace. Average list price this past week was $791, as we said, but the median sale price was $459. Again, we've been at that $459 for over a year, between $450 and $460. So again, this is a very, very good sign that's saying prices are not driving up either. Last couple of numbers here is our days on market is getting much more competitive. We're starting to have it drop back down into the 80s again, and if we can get it down back into the 70s, that's going to be a good thing. 70 days on market is really what we want to see. And then, of course, the last number is the sale price, probably the most important, other than the number of buyers and listings, of course. This is probably one of the most important numbers on the page, because this is your guiding light. This is the steering of your ship, your autopilot. So in other words, 97.8 over the last 5 years, 97.8% has been the historical average. That means that the average property over time, whether it's 1 month, 1 year, 6 months, whatever time period you want, in the last 5 years, it's been averaging about a 2.2% negotiation. And this is not from the original list price. This is from the list price at the time the seller accepted the final offer. So in essence, 97.8 is a pretty strong number. It's been that way for quite some time. We're at 97.44 right now, which basically means the average seller did similarly give up about 2.5% off the list price at the time they accepted the offer that went into escrow. We were at 97.5 the week before, but if you look at last year, not 2 years ago, because we were at 98%, we were really high on those numbers because, again, it was a seller's market back in 24. Well, 25 was not. So what you're looking at, this is going to be an important number, because not only is it going to determine the price that you put on your offer as you're packaging your buyer, but it's also going to be, you're going to go look at the concessions tab as well, and you're going to see just in that neighborhood at the time you're writing the offer, what were the concessions the sellers offered, and what was the list price to sell price retention on that same home. And that'll tell you whether the market is in a little bit of a distress, that particular community, maybe that particular home, but it identifies what the room that you have. If you just write a low offer, shame on you. That's just, you're really not using your real estate acumen. You're just throwing a number out there to see if it'll stick. So use some tools, and those tools will make you a better and more sophisticated realtor.
I appreciate it as always, Todd. We're going to pass the magical keyboard over to Matt Baker. Welcome.
Hello. Let's talk about the market from a rate perspective, because there's lots going on. Rates are pretty good. I mean, obviously, you always like to see a 5 handle in most of the categories. You can get rates into the 4s if you want to pay for it. Just remember, it's not the rate that changes every day. It's the cost of the rate. That's what ebbs and flows. Doesn't make sense to me to spend eight points to buy the rate down to 4.99, but people can. And so what's going on? Because we've got lots to talk about. Even just today, it's kind of reversed a little bit. I'll talk about that because uncertainty in the world view is matters. But listen, look at this nice trend. I mean, green is good. Green means rates have improved. That's why you're seeing rates in the 5.99, low 6 range. That's the trend that we've seen really since December. And we've really tracked all the way. And this mythical 100.38 line tracks all the way back 3 years. And we busted through that on Friday. And we came back today. Yay. The shortest refi boom in history. No, the reality is that, typically and you can even look back over the last 3 years when there's been uncertainty, whether it's, the Gaza and Hamas thing, or it's the, nuclear, thing in Iran. And then this weekend, there's an initial knee-jerk reaction, which is for rates. Rates get uncertainty, but the rates got worse, right? So they got worse about 0.25%. So that green little bump there is now underneath that 100.38 line. But if you look back every week that goes out, it goes back to more normal. So there's always that knee jerk. Again, I'm not locking rates today, knowing that I think that the market's going to resettle back down in a, historically speaking, I've been doing this 30 years. In times of uncertainty, in particular war, rates typically improve because there's a flight to quality. Stock market goes down, goes to more secure assets like gold, like 10-year treasuries, treasury market improves. And so you see rates ebb down. That's historically speaking, may not happen this time. Lots of other factors, in particular jobs. It's a big week. We got on ADP and you can't see the top here, but it's the BLS job survey. And this is where you typically will see this week, particular, aside from the kind of political environment, the world environment, it's the data and unemployment. ADP says jobs aren't good, and the BLS says jobs are great. So it's like, well, what's right, what's not right? You typically see January with huge revisions because there's this weird death birth model and how they factor seasonality. But February, that's kind of scraped away a little bit. You see that initial reaction in January. So I'm interested to see what this does. This could also help fuel that getting below that 100.38 to get some lower rates if we can see some of that come through. Okay, kind of on a different note, by the end of the year, the appraisal forms are retiring. And I don't know if you guys heard about this. It's pretty big news because we've had the same report since like 2005. And if you ever get an appraisal report, you're like, where do I go to find the value? You got to skip the third page, and to see pictures, you got to go to the 30th page. What pictures are they talking about need addressing? Now the photos are going to be actually in the areas in which they're talking about. You can see this form. This is just a screenshot of what it looks like. Looks a lot like a loan estimate or some of these other things. So they're really trying to make it more uniform, but you're not going to have an investment property form and a condo form and a PUD form and all these different forms, all one universal form. And it's going to take some time for appraisers to make this change, but it is by fourth quarter mandated to have this replaced. I think this is great news. One, values are going to be at the first page. You can actually
Imagine that.
actually see what's this value of this property in the first page. So some good news on the horizon, but know that it's going to take some time. But I wanted to kind of break the news here to you first, and then I'm having really good success. I'm on the pilot program for Guild. It's our fast HELOC. It's called digital HELOC, whatever you want to call it. You can QR code it. I just had one we signed Monday. Initiated on Monday. Literally funded on Friday. There is a 3-day rescission period. So literally all of it's done is 100% automated underwriting, appraised value. All of that is done. So there's no appraisals. There's no title work under 400,000. It's super fast. You can do LLCs. So for investors that want to pull cash, you can do that. Second homes as well. Allows for trust. So there's lots of cool features. But the best part is they link your bank account to determine income. So if you're like, well, I changed jobs or went newly self-employed, doesn't matter because they're going to look at just the last few months of your banks. They're going to see your deposits and go, oh, that income supports what you're trying to do. I just did. They had a free and clear property in Scottsdale. They needed a little under 400 grand, 6.8 on a 30-year HELOC, which is pretty darn good. And they got their money in 5 days. Okay. All right. That works. So check it out. Take the picture, QR code it. And as always, here's my contact card. If you need something, reach out. I'm happy to help.
All right. Appreciate it as always, Matt. Good stuff. Yeah. Looking forward to those new appraisal forms.
Right.
Yeah. See if I can understand these ones.
Well,
show me the value.
There's hope at least.
Just send me. It doesn't matter what form you send me. Just highlight the value.
That's why I only tell agents it's came in that price or if there's repairs, like as is, or like that's two things you care about. But if you wanted to see the report, now it'll be a little easier to read.
All right, appreciate it. Yep. All right, we're gonna jump right along to our 3-pack. Finding deals on the MLS. We always maintain and for our team we spend a great deal of our time either looking for investment properties ourselves or looking for investment properties for our investments. And we pretty much say by the time it hits the MLS, there's not a lot of meat on the bone. But it doesn't mean, because really the secret sauce is going and finding those off-market properties. But it doesn't mean that there aren't good deals still on the MLS if you know how to look and you know where to look. Or for primary buyers, there's some really good opportunities on the MLS. So I'm going to share a couple tricks and tips that I do. If you are representing a buyer, days on market is your best friend. The longer a house sits on the market, the more likely the seller will be more motivated to make a deal. And so when I'm going through this exercise, and I do it about once a week because I just want to see what's out there. I've got a list of investors that if I can find them a deal, they're ready to jump on it, or I might be ready to jump on it. But in this current market, so what I'll do is I will just, you can go down and add a field on your search, your MLS search criteria, agent days on market. And I'll start with a minimum of 150 days. And I'll just select some other criteria. Maybe I'm only looking in Maricopa County. Maybe I'm only looking at single-family residences or whatever the case is. And I want to take a look at everything that's at least 150 days on the market. And I can start sifting through them, taking a look at them. Some of them you can go, well, that's why it's been on the market for 150 days. But depending on who the buyer is and what kind of opportunity they're looking for. And then if I don't see anything I like, then I maybe will, change the agent days on market to somewhere between 100 and 149 days. And I'll start there. I think it's a great opportunity, especially for buyers, who have got some cash to go in and do some rehab work and some remodeling, and you're a move-in ready home that you can just eat off the floors. Probably not been on the market for 150 days, but if you have some cash, your buyer has some cash, there's some really great opportunities, and then you can go and you can then aggressively submit an offer. And then I put 0.3 below because on 0.3, I'm going to go what my next step looks like.
Okay. Yeah. Days on market is a super indicator. I describe the days on market to you guys every single week when we do our statistics, and we do it by price range. Well, Mike's doing it by Main Street. He's going down into those more local markets that he knows that are conducive to the pricing strategy that his investors may have. And then putting that information in. Or maybe, as he also indicated, his potential buyers that are looking in those price ranges as well. There are always good deals out there. And, I hear agents say, it's just so hard to find. And I thought for a second, like, oh, let me tell you how to find them. And then I think again, and I'm like, well, of course it's hard to find. That's why you're not an investor, because you've got to put in that diligence and you have to understand the market at a totally different perspective than if you were really working with a consumer.
Yeah. So then the second thing I'll do, and Claudia, who just joined us, she's going to love this, is I also will go on the MLS. And like I said, for me personally as an investor, I'm not overly excited about the lender-owned opportunities or the short sale opportunities that are on the MLS because I think there's a lot more meat on the bone if you can find off-market opportunities and so forth. But especially for either first or second-time home buyers, what a lot of people don't understand is if it's a lender-owned or if it's a short sale, I think the myth is I've got to come to the table with cash. That is not accurate.
That's
you
correct.
can have now it's a longer process, but you can have a buyer that's qualified with one of our lenders and still make a play on short sales and so forth. So then on this one, what I do is going back to I pull up the MLS, do my quick search, go down and add field. And then you got the little menu bar, what you want to type in. I'm looking for special listing conditions, and I click that, and that pops up. And when you do the special listing conditions, then you'll see different things like lender-owned properties, REO properties, short sales, auction properties, active adult communities. Sometimes we don't know how to figure out how to find active adult communities or remove active adult communities. And then I'll see what pops up in here, because I think for first and second time or even third time home buyers, I think these can be some great opportunities. Now, I'll let Claudia chime in, but when I'm looking at short sales, don't ever submit an offer without calling the agent and let them know that the offer is coming along, because oftentimes when you see the short sales, it'll say this is the bank approved price. Well, okay, it might be the bank-approved price 3 months ago. Okay, may not be the current price that the bank's willing to do. And so I'll just go through them and see which ones I like, and then I'll have a conversation with that agent.
Yeah, it does take some homework. So like you
Yes.
said, reaching out to that listing agent is really, really important to know what is going on. Not every short sale is the same. Some you have an authorized approval to participate, which means you do have an approved short sale up. Who buyers cannot. So that's going to be a huge benefit in negotiating terms if you know that a short sale could take up to 90 some odd days. Sometimes it's quicker. It really, really depends. I know you like to find the deals before they hit the market, and I appreciate that, but there's still a lot of deals to find. If you look at the notice of defaults on tax record, we're at probably 1550 in all of Arizona, and there's only 450 some odd listings in MLS that have either been coming soon or sold since December 31st. That's a lot of business out there. That's a lot of homeowners out there that are in distress, don't know where to turn. So if you don't have the questions or the answers to those questions or know what to ask, reach out to us so we can help you.
Yeah, if somebody has a pre-foreclosure notice deed that's already been attached to their property, that's a really good indicator that they probably have their head in the sand. And that they are having trouble even themselves knowing how to get out of it. So again, there's some off-market stuff too, but today we're talking about, MLS specifically. So I do like that. I leave that special listing conditions up all the time because
So do I.
You know, it's just one of those things that, in fact, when I show you what the different numbers are for the distressed properties, that's where I'm getting it from.
Yeah. All right. Then the third one is before I pick up the phone, because I found one I'm working on right now. I was doing this exercise with one of my agents on Friday, and I'm like, all right, this one is actually a good possible one. I can't get the agent to pick up the phone and have a conversation with me, so they're probably going to get a really low offer this afternoon. But that's on you. Okay. I'm trying to ask some questions here. And
But that's the thing. If they're not answering your call, they're not answering anyone's call.
so then I gotta just do. I don't have time. You know, your hundreds are gonna pop up. I don't have time to put together a full CMA and so forth until I'm actually putting pen to paper. But these are some of the things that I'm gonna do. You know, take me 5 minutes just to figure out whether this is something that's even worth my time. I love just searching by subdivision. I wanna see what is, and I really honestly at this point right now in our market, I'm not as overly concerned about what's active because if I'm flipping this, I need to know what's closed, and I want to see what that neighborhood looks like and what that list price and is there any meat on the bone. I want to take a look at the pictures. What am I possibly walking myself in there? I love going to Monsoon and clicking on Monsoon, clicking on comps and taking a look at there and taking a look at what properties are showing up there that are not showing up in the MLS because these might not be properties listed in the MLS. I'm not. You know, RPR is not the end all be all, but I like to see what properties RPR is pulling up that I might not be seeing. And then the same thing with Cloud CMA. And then I can just say, okay, is this even worth me driving and showing the property or walking the property, or is it time to go on? But I am telling you, I think I know why so many people there's houses are going into foreclosure. I did this on Friday. I couldn't believe how many of them had frickin' solar leases. My gosh. Friends do not let friends buy solar.
That are on leases. Yeah, you know, I totally agree with that comment. You know, the big thing about searching by subdivisions is you can pick your subdivision, your market, based on the seasonality of what we're going through in the market. And you never pick like, for instance, when you're in the peak buying season for residential properties in our market, April through September, you know, that's not the right time necessarily to be trying to get the bottom end all deal. There's a lot of people moving during those times. You go to the opposite when the market's really, or entering that really going into that slow market. Now, there's people that are just distressed all year long. So to that, this doesn't make sense. But if you also go and you look, like right now, people are moving back home, going back out, leaving and going home, the snowbirds, the, second home owned people. And you should see the market that has been flooded with those 55 active adult community properties. And then watch it for about 2 weeks and just set up that search so it keeps coming to you. They're now competing against each other by dropping their prices. And that's what they have to do this time. And then if it doesn't sell within the next 60 days, they've lost that market until next November when everybody's interested in coming back.
Yeah, and Claudia, this is just really, at the end of the day, some people just say, hey, I want a really good deal on a home. And these are, okay, great. Yeah. And like I said, you don't have to be a cash buyer. You can be get a traditional mortgage on some of these opportunities, but this is where you can find some properties and have some opportunities to get your client into a property under market value.
Yeah, doing the research, doing the quick comps. I mean, we know that the consumer is going to be looking on Zillow. So even as an investor,
don't say the Z word.
They will. That's something that we live with, right?
I know.
So you cannot put a curtain there and not look at it because that's what the average consumer is looking at. So when you're looking at it with an investor eyes, yes, doing your quick comps, even a 2-mile radius search, because in Arizona, there are some subdivisions that butt up right next to each other and they're starkly different. You can have a gated community. So there's a lot of things to look out for. I would say definitely try a 2-mile radius search. A lot of appraisers will stick to a 2-mile radius. And look for like properties. You have to be really cognizant about what you're searching for. If you're looking at a home that's 3,000 square feet, you know that there's 2 ACs. You know there's going to be a little bit more involved in that property than a smaller square foot home or something with lots or something with septic. So you want to do some homework and make sure you're looking for like properties. I love RPR. It's one of the quick buttons in real estate to give me a good amount of information, and it's the way that it's formatted is different. So yeah, I do everything that you do there, including the 2 mile radius. So.
All righty, well, there it is, finding deals on the MLS. So Claudia's already jumped in, so no need for any type of introduction. This is Claudia Ewan, our managing broker and our director of our coaching division here at West
Thank you for having me,
USA.
guys. Thank you so
bet.
much. I love being on. I am one of your 4 blessed managing brokers, and I say blessed because I love when I get a chance to speak to you agents. When I'm out there at the offices talking to you guys, when I welcome you new agents, it is great to see that agents are involved. I believe that this company has something that a lot of others don't, is involvement from our people. We're not West USA without our agents. So I think it's really, really great. And you guys listening in, I got to say, dearest gentle reader, yes, this is not Bridgerton, but this is how you get your information, right? So I was thinking about that as I saw the last episode this past weekend. That is something where they pick up their gossip. What's happening lately? So this is pretty much whistle down. This is what we do. We're giving out that information. It's not gossip, but it is the latest and greatest.
We get to gossip?
Right? Right. That's a lot to talk about. No, but like, for example, FinCEN, right? It's on everyone's mind. It's coming up. I know you guys already showed the lovely slide. I understand. Thank you so much for doing that to me. But I wanted to let you guys know. So first off, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. That's what it stands for, and it's very legit, right? It sounds very important because it is. So we've always said when you have someone with proof of funds, you want to have that proof of funds. You want to have some documentation. If you're a hardworking and diligent agent, you already know that if you have a buyer who's in an LLC or trust, you're going to need that documentation because our contracts are escrow instructions. So the title company is going to need to see that. I love that American Title has put this together for us because if you're an agent like certain people who want just the nitty gritty, highlight it for me, ring any bells, Mike? Like, tell me what I need to know.
I feel like you were gossiping about me right now.
I was. So you can take a look at the very bottom of this page. If you don't like charts, you don't like all the letters and words, take a look at the bottom. How realtors can prepare. Identify early if the buyer is an entity or trust. If you have a buyer that tells you that they're going to be buying a property and they're buying it through a trust, pay attention. Yeah. Okay, we got to reach out to title. Let's make sure we have what we need. Make sure you have your proof of funds. If it's a hard money loan, guess what? That's not a loan. That's treated as cash, right? So let's pay attention to what we're doing. Nobody wants to go through negotiating for a good deal for your buyer, getting the meeting of the minds. You know, everyone wants to sell, everyone wants to buy. You're going good. And then at the last minute, 3 days, 5 days before closing, this comes up. You don't want that to blow up your deals.
You know, this originally came out back in the 80s, and it really is really the same thing. And what it was a goal to try to find the sources of monies that were through drug cartels, trafficking, things of this nature. It was to identify illegal activities because those were the people who had $10,000 in cash or more. And so the banks for decades have had to, anytime you, over the course of a year, anytime you deposit more than $10,000 in cash over the course of a year, the bank automatically fills out an 8300 form, which basically sends it to FinCEN and tells them that there is this person who's depositing more cash than that meets the guidelines of this requirement. So now what they're doing is they're finding that people have gone to LLCs and trusts because they're hiding their identity and the ability to have 2-3 trusts, to have 2 or 3 LLCs deep of an ownership of certain organizations that we all think we were taught to do because of tax or liability evasion. These are what they're doing for tax and money evasion, and as a result, that's illegal activity. Right. And so that's the reason why this is being done.
Yeah,
just to let everybody know.
Yeah,
that's the
there are
basis
proper
for
ways
this.
to do that. There are proper ways to run your business and use LLCs and corporations to benefit you, of course. But again, it's no surprise that right now there is a cracking down. I mean, that is definitely happening. I wasn't surprised that they made this a big deal.
Nope.
It is huge. And again, if you don't know what it means or what it's going to entail for your clients, our title partners are great. They will sit down with you. They'll go over with it. with you, there should be no transaction where you do not know if it's going to be FinCEN or not.
Right.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So that I just wanted to stress that to you guys. If you have more questions on it, please feel free to call in and ask. We're going to be going over it. I'm going to bring it up during React because I will be teaching the listing and buyer presentations tomorrow. So if you wanted to fresh up on that, it's not just for new agents. A lot of agents that have been in the business for a while need to hear it again. They need to go over it again. You know, the listing contract, that owner's delayed. We're having some issues with that. Some agents are not able to either understand it properly. They don't see that if the property is not going to be listed on MLS within 24 to 48 hours after the client signs that listing contract, that is a delayed. It could be coming soon, which is line 17 of the owner's delayed marketing election addendum, or limited addendum, or it's 21, which is limited. It's not going to go on the market right now. It's going to be 2 weeks from now because the seller's not ready yet. Great. Make sure that. Again, it's the age of transparency. A couple of years ago, we went through the value proposition time frame. Now it's all transparency with our buyer brokers, with the owner's delayed form. Now with the FinCEN, it's very much a transparency age. So if you don't know how to explain it or how to talk about it, call us. We can go over it together.
All right.
Yeah.
So investor has $500,000 cash in their savings account. Okay, but they have an LLC, and they want to use their $500,000 in their savings account that's been there for 3 years, and they acquire an investment property. Is this a FinCEN situation?
Is that their personal
Could be.
savings account?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. So if it's tied, if they're a member manager of the LLC, they can definitely use those funds. Again, it's seasoning the funds. We've heard that term before. Usually it's in purchasing a property, right? The lender needs to season someone's funds or the deposit amounts, the source of those funds. If it can be sourced, it can be used.
Remember that an LLC is called a person. So, for instance, if you own an LLC, you have you as a person, and then you have your LLC, which is a person. You might be a member of that LLC, but that LLC is still a separate person.
Sure.
Or if you're a manager, that LLC is still a separate person. So when you move money from your personal bank account into an LLC, Claudia used the term seasoning, but just think of it as more of you're giving money to another person, which is the reason why you have this hiccup.
Yeah, it's the entity. Yeah, it's the entity. And don't forget, those entities do not have signatures. We see that a lot in paperwork. If there's a trust or an LLC, you don't sign it XYZ LLC. The signature is still a natural born signature of a person who is authorized to sign on behalf of that entity.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But if you don't follow the typical signing process, which is listing the name of the LLC by your name, comma, whether you're a manager, member, whatever. Now, here's the big issue with this, and this is what most people don't know. If you don't sign that way and you just use your name, which is a legal signature still for that, you now accept personal exposure outside of your LLC. So the only way you can protect that corporate veil of your LLC is to put the name of the LLC by your name, comma, and your title of that LLC. If you fail to do that and you just use your name, it's still a valid signature, but what you've done is potentially broken that veil, and now anything that you think you're being protected from, you're not. You now have personal liability for it.
Yeah, and if you have questions on how a signature block should look for an LLC or trust, guess what? On our dashboard.
Are we still talking
ding, ding.
talking about the FinCEN thing, or have we moved on to?
We moved on from
Okay.
the FinCEN. I think we're working on other stuff.
But the only reason
the
because Todd's
entities-
stressing me out right now because I got a link for my title rep. I got to do one for our
Yeah.
LLC, and I want to make sure when I sign it, this FinCEN thing that I do it right. And I'm too pretty for prison, Claudia. Okay, let's just get that out there.
So the FinCEN thing for your LLC is just going to be based upon the fact of, is it a pass-through? Again, I'm not a tax accountant, so talk to your tax planner. But if it's a disregarded entity, so that money and income passes straight through, it's still a separate individual company. So you want to make sure you sign it that way. The money is what's FinCEN is tracking.
Okay.
So
Before we get too far from FinCEN, because the questions are coming, and I'm going to preface this with your title representatives should have a lot of information on this. So the question is, I have a deal in escrow with an investor. We've not done the FinCEN reporting. March 1st is come and gone. We don't close for another 2 weeks. Should I be reaching out to my title
Yes.
representative today and getting this reporting done?
Totally.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
well, I want to clarify that because there's sometimes some confusion.
Yeah.
In this situation, your title representative, we think of the person that comes and is giving us donuts and coffee.
Thank you. Correct.
Okay. In this situation, you should be speaking directly with your escrow officer.
Yes.
Yes.
Good
Because
Yeah.
that's who
Yes.
knows this.
And if
stuff.
you're not sure who the escrow officer is, call
your rep.
Yeah, call the rep.
Oh, your rep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our marketing reps do much more than bring us coffee and donuts. I mean,
That's my favorite part.
yeah, they come out and they show up for us. They give us the information. They
Thank you,
pass
Claudia.
on.
That was nice.
Yeah, well, they do. They work
they
hard.
are.
They pass on the information to us. They give us some great pointers and tips for marketing, for paperwork. Those folders that they create for us, the buyer guides, seller guides, they do a lot of work. They bring more than just. I mean, my
I
gals,
was
you
was
know,
making a point
They brought
of
breakfast
of-
burritos to
of-
us. I mean, come on.
of your escrow officer,
Yeah.
your point of
So-
contact
Right.
for questions about this.
You mentioned you're too pretty for incarceration.
yeah.
So are you going to be the orange is the new black? I mean, this is you now. Are you going to be talking about this more? I mean, what's going on?
I'm just going to refer to my escrow
See
officer.
how your head goes there
Yeah.
right away. You better talk to your escrow.
Nick,
officer.
we need a
clarify.
disclosure.
I want to clarify one more thing because the questions are valid and they're good questions.
they are.
Yes.
We talk about new documents coming from AAR, ADRE. We talk about FinCEN stuff. FinCEN is something that will impact open escrow. When the department rolls out new documentation, most of the time we're as a brokerage not going to require you to go backwards. So there's a little bit of difference there. That's why I think clarifying that is a good thing, and you should be doing that. And that's why you should be reaching out to your brokers, having that conversation. So in this instance, if you have an investor, you're working with someone who's doing hard money or private loan, you need to make sure to have that conversation with your title. And if you're working with a buyer and you don't know where their financing is coming from, you probably should start having that conversation very early on in the process.
Yeah, read your purchase contract. You need to have proof of funds or pre-qual, by AAR pre-qual, I mean, right? So read what you're filling out and what you're utilizing. I want to make sure that you guys, if you haven't seen this handout by the title companies, reach out and get one. You can reach out to me. I'll forward it to you. There's a lot of great information on this document.
Nick, that's a good point. There's one more piece of this, and we've been using this word, and it doesn't have to do with this word at all, and that's the word investor. Take that out of this vocabulary. FinCEN has nothing to do per se with the investor. It's the type of ownership interest. It's the money. That's what they care about.
Yeah, good point.
Yep. I don't know if you had any other topics you want to talk about or what's going on.
No,
Mike?
go
How you
for- go
feeling
for it.
lately?
Let's just talk about stuff.
Let's
talk
talk
about stuff.
I got a lot of stuff to talk
Let's
about.
gossip.
Oh, hey,
No,
I'm telling
can't do
you,
that.
this is Lady Whistledown. No, we're here to bring you guys all the information. So it's not gossip, but it's work talk, right? It's around the water cooler. What are you hearing? So since the updates to the commissioner standards, there's been a lot of talk about advertising. West USA here, we like to prepare. So we have a document for that, something you guys can go to as a source. It'll be going out, but one of our amazing managing brokers, I mean, not myself, but Dean. So shout out to Dean.
I was never going to go with him
No,
on
oh my
this.
gosh, he's a wealth of knowledge.
He's the man.
Wealth, he is the man. So I appreciate him and his diligence, but he put together some really good advertising standards and policies for us at West USA. So I want to make sure you guys are aware of all the changes, right? So the big one a lot of people get confused with is owner agent. If there's an owner agent listing, yes, if I'm listing my property, I'm going to have the owner agent writer. That is we've already known we've had to do that. I disclose it on contracts. But now, if I were to list Todd's home and Todd's a licensed real estate agent, I still have to have the owner agent writer.
On everything, yep.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So on everything. So and marketing is the sign. So don't forget the sign. We have a lot of agents that are forgetting to go out. If you're going to do any real estate agent's property, if you're going to list it, you have to disclose that they're an owner agent. That's
Yeah, and
open
the
marketing.
disclosure in the contract part has nothing to do with the advertising. There's a separate statute that requires that.
Correct.
I did not know that.
You did not know that?
No, I mean, obviously, I knew that if I'm listing my property, I have to have the owner agent writer on there. But if I'm listing another person's, what if that agent is, because where I get into the situation, what if that agent is out of state?
Well, that has to be disclosed that they're a licensed real estate agent on the contract. So if they're a
But I'm
licensed
talking about
out
on
of a
the
different
sign
state,
writer.
on the sign writer, I would still use
it's
use the
it's
caution.
Arizona.
It's advertising.
Okay.
It's advertising.
So the other thing comes up when it's owned by an LLC. So Todd owns an LLC. Todd's selling his investment property. Todd's an Arizona licensee. And the LLC that I own is owned by my trust. So the essence is the LLC that owns the real estate is not a licensee. So that doesn't require owner agent on that listing, on any of that information. However, when you write an offer on that property, because of the other law, you are going to have to say that you have a financial interest in that particular property and that you hold an Arizona license. So it's different, but it's the same. It's just if it's an separate LLC, you do not have to have owner agent on the LLC.
Yeah, if you have any kind of
But call your
principal
broker.
ownership, yeah, definitely call in so we can discuss it before. Nobody wants to get hit with
or
an
ownership
infraction.
interest.
Ownership
Yeah, it
interest,
doesn't
right?
even have to be the owner.
Which pertains to a lot of deals that you do, Mike.
It does.
It does.
I'm just sitting here thinking, what do I say, and
What do
what
you need
what
to
I
do?
do, I just keep
Right.
keep to myself right now. And so I'm going to opt to keep to myself right now.
You know, Mike, we tell our agents all the time, and even if with another brokerage and you're considering, we always at West USA say call us first before things happen. So if there's a question or a maybe or you're not sure, call us before it becomes an issue. Now it might be too late to walk that back, Mike, but we can help you. There is help. There is help for you.
No, it's the creativity that I get into. I just don't need more people
Creativity.
calling you.
Create-
We got some creative things that we do
Yeah,
on our
creative
stuff
things.
that we
Oh,
own and that we flip and that we
yeah,
sell.
Yeah. Are there any more questions that
So
came up, Nick?
that
real quick?
advertising, is that
yeah.
available on the dashboard right
It
now?
will be.
Okay.
Oh, then
I don't know if
you
it
get
is
a
yet.
half ding.
It's already
then.
on half a ding.
Oh, it's
Half
already
it-
on.
yeah.
It's already on there.
Oh, then a full ding.
Hot off the
All right,
presses.
I want to. Were there any more questions from
I
our
wanted to see if
listeners?
there's any more questions.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to get in. I want to get a couple things just to run by you. A lot of these are reminders because I get calls and not broker calls.
You get called.
Hey, please don't call Mike for broker calls, everybody.
Who would? Okay.
Anyways, well, Kyle Fouts calls me all the time.
Oh,
He was
sure.
no. So I just wanted to clarify the 3-day cure. You know, sometimes you get into this business. I've been doing it for 23, 24 years, and then sometimes the simplest thing, you're like, wait a minute, I got to call a broker and just remind myself because, so the days, counting the days
Sure.
on a 3-day cure notice, can we just revisit that
Sure.
of how it works? Like at what point can I issue the 3-day cure? When does day one start? And then if the item is not taken care of, then at what point can I then take the next step?
So if it was a 10-day inspection period, when's day one?
The next day, the day after a fully executed contract.
Okay. So then the first day of your cure would begin on the first day following the expiration of when the covenant said that the client, principal was supposed to do something.
Right. So whenever there's a non-compliance, so when you point it out, the day that you point it out is 0. The next day would be day 1. Does that make sense? So
Well, the way that the day that it was supposed to have been finished in the contract is day
Correct.
0. The next
Correct.
day is day 1. Yeah.
So I have, like, a lot of people think, let's just say it's something with a loan we didn't close, okay, and today's close of escrow, okay. Obviously 5 o'clock comes and goes. There's no way that we're closing, but I wouldn't, in my understanding, I would not be able to cure until 12:01 the next day because theoretically they have today to close, correct?
correct. And that could be a cure for no docs at title, because documents are supposed to be at title to prepare for close of escrow. So read your contracts. I like it when agents quote the actual print of the contract. Again, if you're just going off the cuff and saying, Well, you didn't close. Okay, but what about the didn't close? What did I
What
not
caused
comply with? Right.
Yeah.
You have to point that out in writing on paper. That's what that's there for, calling it out. Not necessarily like Butch says, cure does not mean cancel.
Right.
The cure is to get it's a
Beautiful.
little like, push, like, okay, I need this. And it actually sets a time frame. Could you continue forward? Sure you can. All parties could be hunky-dory and be fine with an extension, but at least you've pointed out, right, that we have an issue. It's a possible non-compliance. How are we going to continue forward? It's a call to action, if you will, to get things moving.
And so then what about, because theoretically, you could put a buyer in a near impossible situation. So the question is, and I know the answer to the question, but the question is, do weekend days count? And then when you've got a 3-day weekend, and the item that you're curing for is something that cannot possibly be taken care of until a open business day.
Sure, like close of escrow would fall to the next closing date. But you have to be careful because the contract is calendar days. Okay, some people get creative
Says it in there.
or they don't pay attention, and they'll accept an offer that states business days. Can business happen on a national holiday?
Yeah. Some business can.
Official business, close of escrow is the county
Oh,
recorder.
no. County
Okay,
recorder is
so
not open. Yeah.
There you go. So you have to be careful again as to what you're advising your clients. I mean, the seller sees it all and they sign it all. But if you don't point that out, oh, look, they called for business days. Our contracts read calendar days.
Yeah, and as far as close of escrow, it says that if in fact the close of escrow day falls on a weekend or a legal holiday, then the actual date that it can close on is the next business day where both escrow and the county recorder's office are open. And it says that right in the terms of the contract.
Right in the contract.
Yeah, so that goes to business days, but the contract says days, calendar days.
Yeah, and again, when you call in to the broker team, we're going to reference that purchase contract so that you can start seeing where the answers are.
Right.
So I'm a huge proponent to teaching you how to fish instead of fishing for you. And I think it's a great way for you to learn. If you have time, even you, Mike, take a highlighter, go through your purchase contract, and highlight all the ahas.
I love it.
There are a lot in there.
Yep.
Some people don't realize, and I bring this up at the office meetings, and everyone's like, what? If you have a buyer who has an inspection on a property and the inspector causes damage or something happens during the inspection, who is liable for that repair? It is the buyer's responsibility, line 222, to figure that out. So yes, they can reach out to the inspector. They're covered. Our inspectors are great. They don't shy away from mistakes, and I've seen it firsthand, so it's amazing. Shout out to HCP. Love you guys. I want to make sure that we're not saying, okay, Mr. Seller, it's your problem. You're still liable. It's your property. That may be the case. It's their home. But per the purchase contract, that has a lot of lovely language. Line 222 points it out. So make sure that you're paying attention to that.
All right. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea to pay attention
Can
to
I
your
no, I was about to say, can I borrow a highlighter?
You're going to need several.
All right. I didn't know whether you... That guy needs a... Anyway, so our West USA Facebook group pages. Understanding is that there are no consumers on them. They're just agents only.
Yes,
So-
they're closed
Supposed to
Facebook
be
groups.
that.
So I have a delayed listing. Okay, I know we are not going on the MLS for 30 days or whatever the case is.
Coming soon.
Okay.
That's what
No, it's not going on. It's not going
Delayed is coming soon.
on. Okay. Well, we're not even going.
So you're going limited for a while.
Okay, we'll go limited for a while. You say potato, I say potato.
Means
Actually,
two
I'm more
totally
simple. I'm a
Means
potato
different
guy.
things. This is why we are where we are, Mike. They mean different things.
One's French fries and one's a baked potato, Mike. They might be potatoes.
Okay,
but-
so we're not hitting the market for 30 days.
Okay.
I'm aware that I cannot post it. I cannot market the property. I can't do any of that
to the
stuff.
consumer. Right.
But can I take a picture and go to our closed West USA Facebook groups and say, hey, I've got this listing that is going to be going live in 30 days from now. what am I allowed to do and what am I not allowed to do.
Have you read the owner's delayed marketing limited?
Yeah, I
You've
have.
read it?
Mhm.
Okay.
This
So-
is a
Okay.
exercise
Yeah.
to benefit our listeners.
Okay, I wanted to make sure you have it. Okay, so it says no marketing to the general public.
Right.
It is a limited listing, which means it's office only. Our Facebook groups are closed for that same reason. For that and to educate our agents. It's a resource for us. It's our tool. So yes, if you have a limited listing, share it with your fellow agents in the office. It's a limited listing. No marketing to the general public or MLS.
And that's West USA brokerage wide. So it doesn't have to be just Arrowhead or Chandler. You can share that information with every single West USA licensed real estate agent that is not considered general
Yeah.
to the public.
Yeah, you
However, that's why,
Okay.
that's why the managers have to be prudent and make sure that no affiliate like a home warranty company or somebody else is in that group, because if it is, it now makes that group public, not private. And the same thing with staff. If we have a staff member that is not a licensed real estate agent, they're not allowed to be members of that either. Yeah,
All right.
check it out.
Well, having said that, if you have a limited listing that's office only, old agents that are from West USA, you can do that. So everyone who sees Mike on Thursday at the spring
Yeah,
training game,
I have one coming up.
There you
I
go.
got one. All right, let's
there you
talk
go.
on
Ask him
Thursday.
what's cooking. I'm sure he's got something for us.
I either will take a beer or a hot dog.
One hot dog? Come on now.
Well, if we're gonna have 30 agents come up to me and want information, I can only eat so many hot dogs in one
So
setting,
we'll work
and
for hot
it's
dogs.
more than you would think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing everybody out there. Again,
Yeah, it's gonna
thank
be
you guys
great.
so much for having me on.
Nick is checking to make sure. So on the concept of whether staff members that are non-licensed, with West
staff's
USA
allowed to-
No, I
their
don't want to
members
make
are
that comment yet because I don't believe that's accurate. But
Anyways, let's,
as of right now, that's the deal.
all right, Claudia, we appreciate it, and we leave everybody with the quote of the day: "The difference between a successful person and others is not a lack of strength, not a lack of knowledge, but rather a lack in will." Vince Lombardi. Appreciate everybody joining us today. Go out and sell a home.